Hello, if you want to watch exclusive lemon content on What If Naruto, then go to my Boosty. The first link in the description here contains such hot stories for adults, such as What If Naruto Was a Daddy for Sarada, or Kushina and Mikoto Vulgar Naruto Mommies. Follow the link and enjoy. I'm waiting for you.
In the village of Hoya, all was peace. The ninjas trained and fulfilled their peculiar mission. The kids had fun playing tag and hide and seek. The civilians continued as if nothing was happening, but something was wrong. Hidden in the shadows was something that most civilians and some ninjas wanted to forget. They were ashamed, or rather, of him. 5 years earlier, the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked this village. It took years to reopen the shops and rebuild the destroyed houses. The Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, died in the fight against the fox. He was their hero for defeating the demon fox, but the millennial fox couldn't be killed by a mere mortal. So, in a last-ditch effort to save his home and all his loved ones, he invoked the god of death, the Shinigami. They made a deal. In exchange for his soul, the Shinigami would seal the fox into a newborn baby. With his last breath, he hoped they would fulfill his dying wish to treat the boy like the hero he was. That, as we all know, was an almost impossible task. As the villagers were only human and therefore feared him, they came to the conclusion that the baby was the reborn fox and that he was trying to trick them, so that, when they let their guard down, I could kill them. Just like a fox in a chicken coop. About 90% of the ninja population knew that that was not the case. 25% of them didn't care and thought it was fun to watch. Crazy, I know. 30% were indifferent because they didn't know the boy. And the other 45% were trying to help but couldn't because of their clan's advice, Toes and Hyuga Toes. Or they, non-clan ninjas, were threatened by the council's advisor, Danzo, and his root division. But most of the clans were detained by the civil council and the Uchiha clan, who were very displeased that the power of the fox had not been given to one of them. Because they are the elite of all the other clans, that was the thought of about 90% of the power-hungry fools in the clan. That boy was none other than the pariah of the village, the one and only Uzumaki, Naruto. Indescribably hated, almost killed 26 times. It was what the village kept hidden, the skeleton in its closets. They believed that the demon fox was watching them and waiting to slaughter them. Most didn't know it was true. You see, the fox met Naruto at the age of 3 and taught him the basics, how to speak, read and write, in more than 3 different languages. One was the language of his hometown, the next was the demonic language, and the last was the angel. Here is an example of each human. Human thought. Demon demonic thinking. Angel angelic thought. Chapter 1. Death. In Naruto's dilapidated apartment, the 6-year-old jumped into Inu's arms. As he and a purple-haired woman, wearing a Neko mask, entered the room. "It's my birthday, Inu Nizan, Neko Nichan," the petite blonde sang. "I know, Naru-chan," said the silver-haired young man with a mask of. "I'm not a kid anymore. I am a man," Naruto said. "Really?" Inu River. He saw 3 other members of his team enter. One had black hair and a skunk mask. The next one was a huge man, with dark brown, disheveled hair, and a bear mask. The last one had bluish-purple hair and a snake mask. "Yes. Why do I have so many?" Holding up 6 fingers. "Oh, it's okay, big guy. Let's see what Weasel-senpai thinks about it." "Yes. Let's go see Weasel." God jumps in a circle. Inu and Ne ran. Skunk was silent. Snake, I was playing at Mercy or Tell Me Uncle, and guess who won? If you thought Snake, I'd give you a cookie. Naruto ran towards Oso, who was twisting his arm. "Knee bear, can I get on the Turum?" Her big blue eyes and pout were in place. "Yeah, sure, kid," he said, getting out of focus and releasing the snake. "Ha! Did I win again?" Snake shouted, throwing up his hands. "Take that little bear with you. Now you have to do what I say for a week." "Shit!" cried Bear. He covered his mouth and looked down slowly to see a curious 6-year-old boy. Kyuubi was laughing so hard that the water around his cage was forming tidal waves. Bear looked at everyone around him as he walked away from him. He just picked up the child. Please don't tell Weasel-sama. Why? Naruto snuggled up on his back. I was tired after a bad night's sleep. He'll kill me, Bear said. Why? He said drowsily. He warned me to watch my language with you. When he got no answer, he looked at the boy from behind and saw him sleeping. They left, while Skunk stayed to take care of the house. What they didn't know was that he was personally responsible for most of the damage they often encounter upon returning. She walked to the refrigerator and replaced the child's milk with spoiled milk. With the group, they had just arrived at the Hokage Tower. The boy moved slightly and looked around with a lost gaze. While the secretary was trying to deny them access to see the Hokage, Naruto took a deep breath and let out a scream, capable of making the tower shake. The Hokage and the weasel ran out of the office, while his eyes filled with tears. "What's up, Naruto-kun?" they both said in unison. They were both worried about the child. "She's being mean to us. He said you didn't want me in your life anymore. He said you changed your mind, and you want me dead. Is it true?" Her eyes were watering, and she looked like she was about to cry. In a way that it was impossible to guess that he was lying. "Well, not really. You see, I had said that the day before. When I tried to visit her alone. He would never do it, he denied her." "Of course I do," Weasel said in a stern voice as he carried Naruto and settled him, Naru, on his hip. She gasped. "Hokage-sama, I'll take Naruto-san to breakfast, while you brief the others." The Hokage was advancing while smoking his pipe. With that said, they headed to a small cafe that was a well-known Anbu meeting point. Then they headed to the park. After a day of intense gaming, Itachi saw Naruto make jokes, hide and run. It was his own version of staying away. Time flew by for both of us. At one point, returning to the apartment, the toddler collapsed on his broken and worn bed. "Now, Naruto-chan, earning a pout from the kid, you'll have to stay here until we come to get you. Can you?" "Hello?" he said drowsily. Weasel advanced while stirring Naruto's hair and left, while Naruto slept peacefully. They didn't know that when Skunk asked for the night off to spend it with his girlfriend, it was to do a mean thing to the poor birthday boy. Weasel got to see Inu, and the others were very excited because it was the first of many Naruto birthday parties. Snake had streamers everywhere, Bear had bear prints on the birthday boy's seat, and Inu had her summoned dog, handing out invitations. While they were doing so, Skunk used his ninja skills to sneak into the sleeping blonde's room, where he had been curled up. Running, he threw a couple of sais into a jutsu that made the tips of two of his fingers glow blue. He hit Naruto's forehead, locking him in his dreams, while muttering sleep jutsu. This done, he lifted the sleeping boy up like a sack of potatoes and went away as quietly as he had come. What he didn't know was that he had been caught red-handed by a security tag in the corner of the room. He sent a signal to the nearest Lambu to leave the room. In a clearing, 30 minutes girl style, they travel faster, away from the village. He left the child on the floor, on a pile of firewood, but he did not wake up. The mob of 15 civilians gathered around the 4 ninjas. 2 Chunin, 1 Jounin, 1 Anbu. The 2 Chunin tied Naruto between 2 parallel logs. He spread his hands at his sides so that his wrists were against the wood, while he tied his feet together. And to a tree trunk with deep roots. Skunk made a hand signal, and Kai exhaled. Naruto woke up startled, pulling on the ropes. Not realizing where he was, he screamed in pain when the Jounin stuck a kunai in his wrist, sticking it into the trunk behind them. A sob escaped from his throat as Kyubi roared, beginning to unleash a murderous fury. "Ki from now on." Naruto, being the only one who felt it, cried harder and started shaking uncontrollably. He started to get agitated trying to escape, hurting himself. This made Kyubi force herself to stop him so as not to scare him anymore. As the attackers become more creative, let's see what Dear Inuzen and his team are doing. Because I personally don't like writing torture scenes for a child. The preparations for the party were going according to plan, because several Anbu and other ninjas had decided to help. The Hokage no longer cared about the civil council. Naruto was like a grandson to him, and every child should have a birthday party. Not to mention that every attack on the boy made him feel more ashamed of the village and angered him. He promised that if a hair came out of his head the next time he saw him, they would face the wrath of not only a grandfather, but also the shinobi god. Itachi smiled softly as he saw most of the clan chiefs, their children and Anbu there. His little Naruto was still gaining more respect. He wasn't even trying, he was just himself. He was caring, kind and a little too forgiving. He looked at the man who brought the fox-shaped cake and chuckled as he remembered the day Naruto released him. Time release flashback. No Jutsu. Itachi was carrying 4-year-old Naruto on his back, while the fox boy looked around in amazement. He had begged, implored, and even used the unstoppable eyeless puppy's eye jutsu to get his way. He convinced Itachi to take him to the tea building. He didn't even flinch when he heard the screams and pleas for mercy, as he was barely conscious during 1 or 2 of the mob punishments. Murders. So they know it by coughing anyway. Itachi took him to a room where they saw a man with scars, wearing a black coat that reached halfway to his shin, a gray shirt underneath, black shinobi pants, and a black ski hat with the protection of the leaf head. He looked up and saw Naruto. He smiled slightly so as not to scare the child. "Hello, Naruto-san." This caused Naruto to hide his face a little behind Itachi's shoulder. "You don't have to be afraid of me, little one. Unless you've done something really bad, like spying or being a traitor," he chuckled. Until Naruto shouted, "I'm not a traitor." It was clearly a sensitive topic for the boy, as a woman had called him a traitor to his village for killing his hyundame. The night before, she had beheaded him afterwards, but even so, her words had hurt him deeply. "I was just kidding. Besides, what that lady told you last night wasn't true. You are still human as an Uchiha." Itachi raised an eyebrow at Naruto. "What I am not stupidly is that I knew that there were much kinder than some villagers. When I faint, he comforts me and heals my wounds, even when the hospital tries to make them worse. Not to mention, he taught me to read, write and even speak. He said he was the guardian of my family." He took a deep breath. "Not to mention that he was controlled by a snake man and an Uchiha, which made him wish he hadn't created, quote, that damn eye." "Naruto." Itachi scolded. Naruto sighed and muttered an apology. And Vicky chuckled and turned to look at the one-way mirror left to the interrogation, where a civilian was sitting. He was one of the few of the crowd who was lucky enough to survive, because all he did was beat up a poor child. Naruto was looking at him. There was only forgiveness in his eyes. "You have families to come home to, so let them go." Her little voice caught their attention. "Why?" And Vicky was curious. "The only thing about being human is making mistakes," Naruto replied. "Even demons have the opportunity to make amends. I thought some don't, but still, could you give them what you call range of?" Looking at Itachi, who nodded, indicating that he had got it right. "To civilians, because they are really just glorified housework, and he rejects some of their requests." "And the ninjas?" Ibiki asked. "Go straight to you, since you are overworked and understaffed." Naruto snapped his fingers. "Kyubi-kun could work here. He loves to torture and make jokes. Not to mention that you could consider it a kind of exchange. Not to mention how many chances a person has of working with a demon lord. Are you going to let Kyubi take over?" "No way," Itachi said in a fatherly tone. He grunted softly at Naruto. Only Kyubi heard it and chuckled. "No. The stamp allows me to send it and control how much power it receives. It's like an assignment." He looked at Ibiki waiting for his answer. "It's a done deal." Naruto smiled as he closed his eyes while red chakra emanated. He moved as if he had a life of his own and began to take human form. The figure had blood-red hair, pale and bright eyes, a robust build, and a slight feminine touch with her battle green and purple kimono. It measured 2.05 meters and had a katana on his side. "How nice to be able to stretch these bones for a few hours." "Thank you, little one." He chuckled as he ruffled Naruto's hair and winked at Itachi, who growled under his breath. And Vicky did her part, and Naruto's ideas were actually the punishment for the ideas. Temporary release flashback, no Jutsukai. Itachi sighed. He was still furious about the deal with the Kyubi, the attack, and the outcome of the 3 events. He got over it. The Kyuubi was right. He considered it the non-cursed level of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The attack was not his fault, nor was the result. Just when they were about to decide who would get the birthday boy back, a raven-masked Anbu burst in and started screaming. Naruto was kidnapped. That skunk took him. He's the only one who could have gotten around my traps, Snake hissed, and in an instant, they were all running away. Back to Naruto. He was covered in his own blood, and the stabbing pain pierced him through the deep wounds on his arms, stomach, chest, legs, and face. In some places, they were so deep that you could see the bone. His ribs were bruised, cracked, and broken in several places. His hair, which was once bright blonde, was now covered with dried crimson blood, from which his skull was slightly split. His eyes were almost completely healed from having been gouged out. His right foot, with 7 of his 10 fingers and toes, was almost completely crushed. There were welts and burns scattered all over his small body. People kept cheering for the 4 ninjas. Skunk, in his lust for glory, unsheathed his katana and lunged forward. He stabbed Naruto in the chest, just above the heart. In a sudden burst of crimson chakra, everyone stopped and started to get scared. The birds and animals were chirping and squealing, almost as if begging them to stop. The trees were whipped and bent in a strong wind. The branches rustled and creaked. He screamed in pain as Kyuubi desperately tried to heal his wound and pull out his sword. When Skunk took a deep breath and gave him a spinning kick, the sword pierced through his heart. Everything suddenly stopped when the boy's body slumped forward. No one made any sound, while everyone waited holding their breath. The grass covered with the boy's blood began to wither. The leaves turned to ashes as a perfect circle of dead grass formed, with the boy's body right in the center. People panicked and scattered. In Naruto's mindscape. Kitten. Hold on, kitty, please. Kyuubi almost begged. Naruto groaned in pain. I can't, Kyuubi-kun. I've been given a kick that has pierced my heart. He was chained up in the ankle-deep water that normally surrounded Kyuubi's cage. A freezing cold began to flood the air as I lost body heat. Kyuubi forced his way out of the fragile cage that had held him for 6 years. The chains lifted and clung to his body as he struggled to get to Naruto. Upon arrival, he wrapped his tail around the boy's soul and was chained to the ground to wait for the Shinigami. When he looked inside his host's mind again, he noticed 7 seals next to his, and a darkness that was beginning to engulf everything it touched. I'm cold, Kyuubi, Naruto whispered. I know, Kyuubi said. She had never had weakness, but this boy was the only one who had it in his heart. At that moment, they heard light, splashing footsteps. They both looked up and saw the dark figure of the Shinigami. Hello, little one, Kyuubi-san. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I've come for you, the Shinigami said. I understand, Shinigami-sama, Naruto said. The Shinigami placed his right hand on Naruto's head. All the memories, even the repressed ones, were reproduced in order before the eyes of the ancestral beings. Naruto closed his eyes with difficulty as he lost the feeling of his body. He extracted the soul carefully, making sure not to harm it. Kyuubi got up and followed him slowly. The soul loses consciousness after being removed from the body and usually does not wake up until it reaches its destination. Just so they know. Well, Kyuubi, after all, do you have a loyal bone in your body? The Shinigami asked while holding Naruto's soul as a bridle. Yeah, well. You'll drag me down anyway, and I still keep my pride and dignity, but I like this guy. And what happens? Would you normally eat your soul or keep it in your backpack? Kyuubi said. Yeah, you're usually right, but this guy has proven to be the one to pass on my powers to him. If you accept. He's been through too much to just dump him with the rest of those souls. It would be a total failure. He's a diamond in the rough. One that I want to make shine. An hour later, Kyuubi was sitting there watching as Kami-sama and Shinigami-sama were passionately arguing about the little one, who was sleeping behind him. What are you going to do? No, he belongs in heaven with his mother. Kami couldn't believe what she was hearing about the love of her existence. I'm sorry, but we need it and you know it. Why are you so selfish? snarled the Shinigami. I'm not selfish. You, grown-up Reaper, I sigh, but you're right, but I wanted him to thank me, not you. Ki moaned with a pout. Well, he can be your part-time apprentice, as I'm sure Kyukin, per Kami, has a plan to make him his own apprentice. Am I right? Kyubi, still in shock, could only nod. Fine. Make sure you tell him to be Hokage for me. He chuckled as he saw the astonished expressions of both boys. That turned into jaws on the ground or by passing by them, giving them more hip movement. He gently kissed Naruto's head. Good luck, kid. He walked away laughing nonstop. Kyubi was very uncomfortable now, and his restlessness only made it worse. Seeing this made the god of death burst out laughing. Naruto woke up an hour later, in a forest full of dead trees. On a black and red bed. The sky was blood red, and the sun pure white, while the ground was black. Where am I? Am I in hell? Not exactly, kid. You are in a void between life, death, heaven and hell. It's called limbo, I think, Kyubi said as he got up firm where he had curled up beside him and stretched. It was the size of a big dog. The Shinigami lives around here. He brought you back to life, but he buried it in one of the big, ancient, talking trees that help maintain balance in the forest surrounding Konoha. They are known as guardian trees, so there's nothing to worry about. I think he also told Sarutovia what happened. Why am I not still in hell? Naruto asked confused. Why the hell would you be in hell? Kyubi was confused and a little disturbed by that sentence coming from a 6-year-old boy. Why don't I belong to heaven, me? Naruto said, but was interrupted. You didn't do anything wrong. Kyubi shouted when he understood. Those villagers are idiots, you are not a monster. They are. Damn it. Even we demons don't treat our young people the way they did. What the fox said is true. Your soul is one of the purest I've seen in a long time. The other would be the 4th Hokage, and to prove it, I give you something that has earned you. A second chance. Keep in mind that this is the first time this has happened. You're very brave and smart for a 6-year-old. He snapped his fingers, and Naruto's clothes, covered in blood and almost in strips, instantly increased. The fire was not normal, but a bluish black. As the strange flames licked Naruto's body, they healed his wounds, devouring all the blood from his tanned skin, erasing the seals that shouldn't have been there, and the clothes instantly turned to ashes. The flames made him feel warm and comfortable. The flames then formed a tight orange shirt and black cargo pants with a thick metal chain with a skull on the buckle, a crib bag, and on his left leg, steel-toed boots instead of ninja sandals, and a black cape with the same bluish flames licking the base. Her wrist had a pair of black gloves with 3 spikes protruding from her knuckles. I have a deal for you. You and Kyubi will continue to merge, which will turn you into a Kitsune and Joe, and everything as before. Except he'll still be around, but he'll only be on your gun. Chapter 2 Terms of Contract and Training above. What the fox said is true. Your soul is one of the purest I've seen in a long time. The other would be the 4th Hokage, and to prove it, I give you something that has earned you. A second chance. Keep in mind that this is the first time this has happened. Naruto gasped. You're very brave and smart for a 6-year-old. He snapped his fingers, and Naruto's clothes, covered in blood and almost in strips, instantly increased. The fire was not normal, but a bluish black. As the strange flames licked Naruto's body, they healed his wounds, devouring all the blood from his tanned skin, erasing the seals that shouldn't have been there, and the clothes instantly turned to ashes. The flames made him feel warm and comfortable. The flames then formed a tight orange shirt and black cargo pants with a thick metal chain with a skull on the buckle, a crib bag, and on her left leg, steel-toed boots instead of girl sandals, and a black cape with the same bluish flames licking the base. Her wrist had a pair of black gloves with 3 spikes protruding from her knuckles. I have a deal for you. You and Kyubi will continue to merge, which will turn you into an Anju Kitsune, and everything as before. Except he'll still be around, but he'll only be on your gun. Now let's get on with the story. Is it really in my gun? Naruto was worried about this information, but they both nodded. What's the catch? See boy, I told you you were smart. Well, first I'll tell you about your new sensei. He said. You must answer my question first, because I might say no, Naruto said seriously. Fine. The Shinigami suspected. In exchange for the training, a second chance, and putting the QB on your weapon, you must keep your promise. Kami has big plans for you. 2. To become my Reaper. In fact, in my apprentice, a living Reaper. You see, there are 2 types of Reapers, living and Shadow Reapers. A living Reaper differs from a Shadow Reaper in that the living Reapers are still alive, while the Shadow Reapers look like a human skeleton. They wear the black robe and the usual scythe. Some even look human, with soulless eyes and pale skin. The humans are the ones at the top, who make sure they do their job and are safe from the damn hellhounds. The last time they escaped. The other difference is that Shadow Reapers cannot leave the area assigned to them. Are there any other Reapers alive? No, you will be the only Reaper alive. Because the living Reapers are the ones who replace me when I want a break for a few centuries. He smiled. You're making this up. Well, yes I am, because Naruto is the only one he considered worthy of trusting with the power of death. He smiled chillingly. Listen, you don't have to worry about death until I come for you. But you do have to be careful. You're not immortal, just much harder to kill. With these statues to ask the Shadow Reapers for help, to heal someone from death, but the condition is an exchange of souls. You see, for every soul you want to save, you have to exchange several souls that you killed before their natural death. Now you see, little one. Lady Fate and Lord Fate are twins, and have set to death dates for each person. The first is the date of natural death, decided at birth, but it is not definitive, QB said. You're right, said a little girl behind them. They turned to look at a red-haired girl and a boy, both about 8 years old. They were wearing kimonos, hers pink, L's blue. Naruto-chan. The girl hugged Naruto and started rubbing her cheek against his. She looked at him with her green, teary eyes. I am very sorry that those villages have died. She sobbed a little as some tears rolled down her cheeks. Naruto-kun, you forgive us, right? He was a little confused. She shrugged her shoulders. Thank goodness. Old Shiny will take care of that. It was organized by us and Kami. She was forced to watch her most precious child being killed. As QB said before our arrival, nothing is written in stone. So we have to set 2 dates, one natural and one man-made. As Shiny said, you will receive a soul point for each one you take before the natural date, and more for one that has not yet died naturally. Such as Orochimaru or Mandra-ucha. Souls will be absorbed into your belt and added to your soul count. Said Fate. Naruto-chan, a couple of tips. Not all allies can be trusted, and not all enemies can be dismissed as evil. Look for true allies in some enemies, and enemies in some allies. Destiny said as she moved her fingers. It means that there are shades of gray. Remember, look beyond what's underneath. Fate said. We will tell you where you are needed most to save your precious people, and what to look for in important moments. Whether you decide to listen to them or not. It's your decision, because fate is not immovable, but rather made of clay that people mold themselves. So, do you have it? The Shinigami asked. Yes, sir. Naruto replied while watching Destiny. The disadvantages of merging with me are that you will get fox ears, claws, sharper fangs, slightly slanted eyes, and a fox tail. You may also develop more tails as your chakra grows. You will have access to new chakra mines and deaths. By the way, there are some changes that we will discuss later. QB laughed covertly. Naruto, the QB in his weapon form, will have 2 forms that can be changed at any time with a single thought. First, its default form will be a chained katana. Basically, you can use it as a sword or a sharp whip. The next shape will be a scythe. Why? What self-respecting Reaper doesn't have one? Now, will your answer be yes or no? The Shinigami held his breath. Yes, I really don't see any problem with the inconveniences. They noticed that the damage caused by the seals was being repaired slowly. Now, Naruto, I'll tell you about your parents, because well, you're already dead, but we can train you in them. You see, your mother carried two very rare bloodlines, and one allowed her to have children. It was the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. The other possessed the power over the wood, or the liberation of the wood, but could never awaken him. Your father, on the other hand, was none other than Uchiha Itachi. I knew he was an Uchiha, but I never thought that he was my father. Why didn't he take me to his clan? It was a scary key. They were desperately trying to get Itachi and a perfect weapon. Telling his father that you were his son and heir would also make you a target, because a gun is not supposed to have emotional attachments. They would try to turn you into an emotionless killing machine. How will the Shinigami do it? It's not Kit. He's going to teach you how to become a great ninja. Remember that you may have to kill to protect your loved ones. Your dad was always watching over you, and he has some weird mission from me, like all ninjas from time to time. Consider it a kind of test. Naruto swallowed hard. We all do it. Oh shit. Even the twins send people on missions to play with their destiny. Everyone laughed. Naruto blinked like a donkey. Even though you unlocked your Sharingan, a seal prevents you from displaying and using it. It's gone, so you can use it. To activate it, you must concentrate and concentrate chakra in your eyes. As he did so, Naruto, his eyes bled red. He was completely mature. Small black flowers grew at her feet, while chakra was applied. Each lineage had its own affinity. The Uchiha have fire, the Senju, the name of your grandmother, water and earth, and the Namikaze have wind, which makes them extremely fast. That's why you have all four. So, am I a Namikaze or an Uchiha? Naruto asked. Your name is Naruto Namikaze Uchiha, the Shinigami said. Now, let's continue with the presentations of the sensei. Your first teacher to help you with cheating, Kyuubi laughed covertly, is Obito Uchiha. I will list the rest myself. Taijutsu Medo Kai, or Kai as everyone calls it. Ninjutsu the 1 and 2 Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Obito Uchiha. Bloodlines the 3 Hokage, and Izuna Uchiha. Family Jutsu Minato Namikaze, and Obito, and Izuna Uchiha. Strategies, Reaper Shinigami smiled. My mom. Naruto whispered. The sensei were lined up and laughing at Minato. Hey, I may have given birth to him, but that doesn't mean I'm the mother, Minato pouted. Yes, sensei. Besides, it's where women who give birth fit in, Obito said with a dazzling smile. What a young man. What flames of youth shine in this child. Kai said. No. He screamed. He was an upside-down guy. You know, orange spandex and green belt. Instead of green spandex and orange belt. It looks like Guy, so this is the kid. How troublesome, Kino Nara said with a sigh. She was wearing a dark gray kimono with black and white leaves. He was 35 years old, with ink-black hair and coal-colored eyes. So he's your sensei's son. Nice to meet you, cousin, Obito said. He was wearing blue and orange, and protective glasses around his neck. Hi Obito, I'm Naruto, and Kakashi Nisan told me some things about you. Did he do it now? Obito. Kakavaka needs to get over our deaths and move on, or he will die like the lonely scarecrow he is right now. His hands on his hips. Hello, little one. My name is Izuna Uchiha, and I am one of the 2 founders of the Uchiha clan, the other Uchiha said with a smile. She was wearing a dark blue kimono. Naruto, what exactly are you here for? Everyone was silent as they saw Naruto flinch. They already know what you saw, Mato. Well, they killed me. What the hell? Minato shouted. Does anyone know how to respect the dead nowadays, or did that die with me? I'll kill all those villagers and castrate the ninja with a rusty spoon. No, don't do that, Naruto said. Everyone looked at him with surprise. They deserve a second chance because people make mistakes and villagers don't know the art of sealing. What about the ninja son? There were some that really hurt me. Most refused to intervene or were threatened by root ninjas. That's where most of my attacks came from. However, the 4 who killed me will die slowly. Good boy, agreed Minato and the Shinigami. Was he one of my clan? He asked. No. No, he said, popping the pea, but some of them beat me, but the head of the Nara clan beat them up. Fine. Now let's go to the training. A lazy and evil smile was drawn on his face. Naruto swallowed hard. We have 5 years. 3 years. 3 years to train you. Temporary release, temporary jump, no jutsu, 3 years. After the first few weeks, Naruto started having fun. Kai was chased by a stampede of cows, cheetahs, and hellhounds. All day long, Kai was laughing at the cursing blonde. As time passed, he began throwing weapons and sparring, while fleeing from the growing herds of animals that threatened to crush them. Kylo was wearing out, while his great-grandfather and uncle almost bullied him with, would or choked him when he made a mistake. His endurance was what impressed the Shinigami the most, and with the Sharingan, his learning doubled. His mind wanted to know everything about the movement in order to completely master it. From Obito and Izuna, he learned the Uchiha Taijutsu along with some fire jutsus. Obito even taught him how to build even better traps, both for jokes and for enemies. He also taught her when to use certain traps. He was rewarded for completing his training in 1 year with a pair of protective goggles and a jutsu scroll. During the training, they discovered that Naruto did not use the normal fire, but the blackish-blue flames that brushed his skin when he arrived. The Shinigami explained that it was due to Naruto's Reaper powers. Naruto had vowed never to copy the hard work of a fellow ninja without his consent. Izuna taught him how to manipulate fire. From his mother, he learned the Namikaze style that he invented, and his two original jutsu, the God of Flying Thunder and Rasengan. He also taught her the Academy's jutsu and taijutsu. They found out that Naruto couldn't use clone jutsu. So instead, he taught him shadow clone jutsu and initiated him into sending clones to learn history, politics, theory, and stamps. When Naruto admitted that he liked learning stamps, Naruto also had 2 sets of clones, one for chakra control and the other for herbal medicine and cooking. Minato also explained and taught the manipulation of the wind. From the first and second Hokage, he learned gardening and manipulation of earth, water, and wood. Naruto learned how to grow everything from off-season crops to dead plants. That training was the longest, as he had to learn how to extract moisture from the air in order to use some attacks. Kai taught speed, flexibility, and strength. In addition, he helped Naruto merge his family's taijutsu styles into one that flowed with the ease of water, was sharp as wind, strong as stone, and passionate as fire. His name was the Four Elements. The dance used speed and allowed the user to use unsigned jutsu at any time, as well as teaching him to throw kunai and shuriken, which was not the most effective. Although Naruto couldn't sit still long enough to think ahead, he was good with improvised movements and sensible strategies. But he eventually managed to get Naruto to calm down for about 2 hours. He also learned meditation and supplication chants. Kino forced Naruto to read 3 long dictionaries from beginning to end, taught him human anatomy, and asked Minato to give him the talk for both boy-girl and boy-boy. Naruto isolated himself for a week after that. Kino and a few others broke up laughing, but it was for the best. He was taught by Senbin and the different careers Kyuubi, who joined the group in 2nd year. Taught interaction between demons and humans, between humans and angels, and between demons and angels. Also genjutsu, chakra masking, deception and seduction. Minato was furious when he heard that, like the chicken that he was. The fox also taught him to use all of his senses just in case one was eliminated. When he was forgiven, he would even attack certain senses so that Naruto would get used to it. So, if that happened, he could still fight without suffering the destruction. The Shinigami taught him how to use his death chakra, and had some of the other Reapers teach him how to use their weapons. He even took Naruto to look for some souls and taught him how to eat them. Naruto liked to eat them on rare occasions. I taught him Reaper techniques. They even showed him poisons. The Shinigami was convinced that Naruto was finally ready to return. Naruto now was wearing an orange Burt tank top and black cargo pants. He was wearing a thick metal chain belt with a skull on the buckle. A black velvet cape with a hood and long sleeves hid her hands. He was wearing steel-toed combat boots. At the waist, a blood-red katana with a fox's head on the hilt, and the guard was the nine-tailed revolver 3. Chapter 3 Welcome Home. Summary of Human Equal Language, Human Thought. Demon? A demon's thought. Angel. Angel's thought. The thought of Shinigami. Shinigami. Previously. Naruto, now, was wearing an orange Burt tank top and black cargo pants. He was wearing a thick metal chain belt with a skull on the buckle. A black velvet cape with a hood and long sleeves hid her hands. He was wearing steel-toed combat boots. At the waist, a blood-red katana with a fox's head on the hilt, and the guard was the nine-tailed revolver. Now let's get on with the story. The glasses Obito had given him were around his neck, hidden by his cape, along with a mask like Kakashi's. His three tails were wrapped around his waist, and his fox ears moved with every sound. The Shinigami came up to him and put his hand on his head. "Good job, kid. I will send you back to Earth now, and I must say that you have done a great job with your training. You will be able to surpass your parents in the blink of an eye, and, to show you how proud I am that you did it, I will give you this: a dragon egg and the Hellhound contract." The dragon egg was a dark blue stone with an odd shape and scaly feel, kept in a dragon skin bag. The Hellhound contract was an ancient scroll from which heat emanated in waves. "Remember these hand seals," he said, showing Naruto the hand signals. "Now you know the stamps. You just have to sign them with blood and pass the boss test." Sounds to the boy before pushing him through a portal. "My head," groaned Naruto as he looked around and saw a small apartment. "Welcome back, Master Naruto." The room gets extreme with the voice. "I am one of the many guardians of the forest. The Shinigami asked me to take care of you while you were away, so I made this place for you in my bark. Doesn't it hurt?" Naruto asked. "Not at all, little one. Now sleep, it's already dark, and you must be hungry." He asked some animals to bring food, from rabbits to carrots, the tree said calmly. "My name is Lillian." The guardian's voice faded into the background, ever present, like a whisper in the wind, as he called and talked to the other guardians. Naruto made a rabbit stew and ate it like it was something old-fashioned. "In 2 years I'll be a genin. Hello, little one. The Shinigami has planned for your father to take you on a training trip. It's okay. Thank you, Kyuubi." "No. There's a problem, kid. Good night." Naruto walked to the bed and fell asleep, just to wake up in the forest of your mind. Kyuubi was standing there, in his glorious splendor of 1.95 meters. His hair stood on end up to his shoulder blades, and he was wearing battle armor. Naruto groaned and adopted a fighting stance. "Let's train." He attacked Naruto with his claws. Naruto barely dodged him, ducking down and throwing a punch with his leg. Kyuubi jumped up and kicked him in the head, hitting a tree. Naruto grunted as he got up. "Come on, kid, you can do better." Fire release big ball of non-jutsu fire. Release of wind breakthrough no jutsu. With that said, the two of them merged into a huge ball of red-hot fire and flew straight towards Kyuubi. Kyuubi smiling smugly. Water release water wall no jutsu. The Kyuubi spat out a water shield that turned into steam. When he visited, he was no longer there. Naruto looked around. His nerves were on edge and his body was tense. His sensitive ears heard a dull rumble that made him jump. Just as the Kyuubi emerges from the earth. "Hey, Kyuubi didn't eat enough." Naruto burst out laughing out loud. Kyuubi had a slight blush on her face. "Shut up, brat," he stammered. It was dropped in the Indian and Funo style. "That brat. No, he respects his elders. Come on, Harry. You don't have to be so upset," Naruto said, sitting up in the air. "You stupid, smug brat. Go eat a rabbit." He growled and Kyuubi, turning into a fox, and stormed off. "Don't burn the trees again. The last time you did it, it gave me a headache." Yeah, whatever." With that, Naruto began to apply everything he had already learned to practicing his jutsu. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi was sitting at his desk, surrounded by 4 of his best anbis, working on the dreaded paperwork. His nightmare. I was thinking about accidentally burning it. Meanwhile, he was smoking his pipe. He did not realize that the color of the room was fading, and everything inside was frozen. Until he saw that the smoke from his pipe was freezing. He jumped up and braced himself for an attack, prompting a giggle from his visitor. Well, Okage-san, It seems that you are at a disadvantage in this situation. A voice came from a black puddle on the ground. He was confused until a shadowy figure emerged from the sticky substance. He almost choked on his pipe when he realized that the figure was wearing a black cape and a large scythe on his back. "You're a reaper," said the Hokage with his face. "Yes, but I'm not here to take your mortal soul to the afterlife. That's for another time." He saw the bony figure smiling under the hood. "The master has sent me to inform you that a soul will return home, although I don't see why. I feel sorry for this place, not to mention the help. I asked for simple directions to your office, and I almost got attacked. Anyway, any questions?" "Yeah, who's coming back?" "Yes, Naruto Uzumaki, even if that's not his name. He died before his time, and, seeing the great tragedy that the boy suffered in life, my teacher decided to grant him what many have asked for, a second chance." "Seriously?" Hope tinged his voice as he dropped the pipe. Yes. Really, don't die, man. I'd hate to have to explain it to the boss. I'm sure I'd fuck those dogs." The Reaper sighed. "Is there anything else?" "Yes, there is. You're so smart." He put his hand in his right sleeve. The Hokage shuddered as he pulled out 2 scrolls, one black and one white. "The black one is a mission from my master for an Anbu named Itachi Uchiha, and the other one is a mission from Kamisama herself for a medical ninja named Tsunade. The pay for the quest is at the end of the scrolls, and every penny goes towards completing them." "Understood." Hiruzen nodded. "Fine. Now listen. I have one more thing to tell you. I helped train that kid. He's a cool kid, so I'll let you in on a little secret. His birthday is tomorrow, so you better throw him a party, understand?" The Hokage simply nodded. "Since it's almost 7 p.m., you have plenty of time, so burn the paperwork by throwing away your pipe, on top, and going to the bathroom or somewhere else." The Reaper smiled that creepy smile again. "Even though I hate you mortals, I like that guy and some people, and you guys give me a job. So if you need to talk to my master, Shinigami-sama, I'll be the link. I will bring you the mission, you will give me completion reports, and the location of some of our most wanted." "Well, great, here's a list. If any information comes up about them, say my name like that. I summon the Reaper Shi. Give me a scroll with such information, and I will pay you if it is true. I'm going now." With that said, the Reaper slowly sank into the ground, creating a black mass. The Hokage watched fascinated as the puddle slowly spread, returning the color to the room, and time thawed. He saw his pipe burning on the papers and left. 2 both followed. He went to the ramen shop and told the good news to them and to Itachi, who was eating there at the time. Meanwhile, the other 2 Anbis were trying to put out the fire that was spreading over the Hokage's desk. The next day, Naruto woke up stretching. She showered and got dressed. He sat down to breakfast. When he finished, he bowed and said, "Lillian, thank you for everything. I'm leaving." "All right, honey. Let me know when you need a place to hide." The tree shuddered as a crack opened in the bark. He put on his cloak and descended from the huge tree. When he came out into the bright sunlight, he was blinded. He closed his eyes, but opened them slowly. He contemplated the scene of his murder. The sword that had pierced his heart lay shattered in the center of a circle where he was killed. Not a single blade of green grass grew there. No animal dared to touch the ground, and the leaves turned to dust when touched. The logs he was once tied to were charred and would remain forever in the center of a dead zone. Naruto entered the circle and could see the 4 faces of the ninjas who killed him. "Naruto?" A voice shouted behind his back. He turned around and saw the Hokage and his favorite, Inu, Weasel, Snake, Neko Yoso. In the blink of an eye, he knocked down Weasel and burst into tears of joy. "I missed you guys so much." Weasel picked it up effortlessly. "Likewise. We've all done it. Let's talk at my house, okay?" They nodded, and with that they left. Naruto hid his face in Weasel's back. They arrived at the Hokage's house shortly after. Upon removing the mask, it was revealed that Kakashi Itachi was Inu, Weasel was Itachi Uchiha, Snake was Anko Mitarashi, Neko was Utayuga, and Bear was Kaikimichi. It was all muscles. Dad sobbed Naruto. "How? Itachi was surprised just like the rest. I died, that's what the Shinigami told me, Naruto said. The Hokage cleared his throat. Itachi, I know this is very touching and all, but we have a mission to discuss, remember? He nodded. The only ones who will know the truth are in this room right now. Itachi, you have to kill the Uchiha clan. They are planning a rebellion and enslaving the other clans. I'm so sorry. Itachi, but you're the only one who can do it, who I trust. I help too, Naruto added to the Hokage's stern gaze, trust me. So, who to save? They chuckled. Here is a list of those who are not involved, but don't worry, I'll tell you something, said the Hokage. The plan falls apart in 2 days. They nodded. Then they will make a trip, and Itachi will take this to the Daimyoji, and join Akatsuki, to help keep the Jinchuriki out of his hands. Naruto will go with him, and come back after 2 years, okay. Itachi and Naruto nodded, but Kyuubi was bursting with laughter in Naruto's mind. Learn as much as you can. The others, this is an SS rank secret. Yes, Mr. Hokage. They all said. Naruto? Do you know what day it is today? No, he shook his head. He may have been an 8-year-old genius, but he lost count of the dates in the afterlife because he was like twice as long. And the Shinigami loved to play with his mind. Old Shiny-chan really fucked with my head. Itachi smiled at his son's confusion. Well, son, is it? Chapter 4 Birthdays and Citation. Naruto doesn't belong to me, only my ox. Summary of human language. Human thought. Demon? A demon's thought. Angel. Angel's thought. The thought of Shinigami. Shinigami. Not previously, he shook his head. He may have been an 8-year-old genius, but he lost count of the dates in the afterlife because he was like twice as long already. The Shinigami loved to play with his mind. Old Shiny-chan really fucked with my head. Itachi sounds at the confusion of his son. Well, son, it is. Now let's get on with the story. Itachi sounds surprised at her son's confusion. Well, son, it's your birthday. Naruto turned to a calendar, looked at the date, and slapped his forehead. You're right. How the hell could I forget my own birthday? Naruto was confused. Well, little one. The Shinigami would slow down time for a few weeks and then speed it up. He loved to turn your life upside down. That sucks. We have been given a mission that involves killing our family on my birthday. What a piece of shit. Naruto. Itachi scolded. Naruto looked up sheepishly. I'm sorry, Dad. Naruto lowered his gaze to his feet, waiting for the scolding that was about to happen. You're only 9 years old, and you curse like an experienced shinobi. Who taught you that? Itachi asked confused. Uncle Obito Uchiha. It was a joke to annoy Mom. She replied, looking through her eyelashes. Kakashi seemed a bit silly. Oh? Do you mind? Yes, he's my uncle. He also asked me to tell you this. Hey, Kakakau, get out of your head. To live again, and for the love of God, leave it porn, or Naruto will burn it. Naruto ascended with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. I will? So no reading it in front of Dad and me. Mom gave me the talk. Itachi promoted. It's okay. That's good to know. And no more cursing, until you're a genin at least. Thanks Minato. Itachi said with a smile as Naruto gave a small hot. Fine. Is Rina up there? Kakashi finally got over what Obito had told him with Naruto, who simply threw his cloak on a chair. I didn't see her up there. I was sitting on the sofa when Toiki and Zumo, Genma, Ayat, Iruka, Uteko Tetsu arrived with loving gifts. And had a beautiful cake. Happy birthday, Naruto. They all shouted. His fox ears twitched sharply as he flinched. How noisy. He rubbed his fox ears with his fingers. Hey, my ears are really sensitive now that I'm half fox. Everyone chuckled. It's not funny. He pouted. Naruto, my grandson. The Hokage rings a bell. Here, he handed her an oversize. Naruto opened the gift. It was a traveler's pass, and everything that was in Minato Namikaze's wool. Naruto, that pass is so you can enter any village, but don't abuse it, and now you will use your full name. Which is Naruto Namikaze Uchiha. I will list the rest. Itachi new clothes with the symbols of both clans in a triangle on the back of his black shirt with an orange fox on the front. 4 genjutsu and 2 fire jutsu scrolls. Kainyu punching bag and bracelet. Anko, lightweight arm guards, lightweight shin guards. Ibiki, a beginner's guide to torture, and a sharp-edged whip. Utah stretching guide, human organs guide. Kyubi faster reflexes, knowledge of another sword style. Kakashi Cole, Icha Icha Paradise, 3 jutsus. Ayami birthday cake, parchment with food set for travel, and a block of notes. 1,000 recipes, 4 home and to take away. And juice, a scroll full of joke supplies, 6 seeds of rare plants. 24 senbon, 2 taijutsu scrolls, and a new bag. Ayat leaf care book, and everything you need to take care of said leaf. Iruka new bags, for sealing scrolls. Katetsu trap laid for the breakthrough. Yugao new wooden practice sword and chakra weights. Back to the story. Thank you guys, that's very kind of you, Naruto said, as a tear rolled down his cheek. But how did they know I'd be back today? The Shinigami explained everything to me, Naruto, the Hokage said as he handed Naruto the last gift. A football from everyone. The boy laughed. You are a child, Naruto, and sometimes you will behave like one, Itachi said with a playful smile. Naruto moved quickly. It's okay, Dad. Naruto sounded with a big smile. Well, Gaki, it's time for bed, Anko announced. He's going to bed right away. Then you and I are going to train. See you at training camp 38, Itachi said. It's okay, he said, and turned to leave. When the Hokage grabbed him, the guest room is over there. That's where you'll stay until you leave in 2 days. Now get some rest. A long day awaits you tomorrow, the Hokage said with a smile as all the other ninjas left. The boy smiled and entered the room. He gasped. It had light orange walls and sheets. Naruto's face lit up, and he jumped on the bed. He was bouncing around like a little kid. The Hokage laughed, making Naruto turn in the middle of the jump. Hey, Gigi. Naruto shouted excitedly, with a huge smile on his face. You made this room for me. He nodded, just as the young man knocked him down. They were both laughing. Come on, little one. Time for bed. Kyubi said. Naruto jumped back on the bed and slid under the covers. His grandfather figure covered him. Good evening, Gigi-san. Naruto said slowly, drowsily. Good night, Naruto. The Hokage left with a big smile. As he closed the door, he frowned. The civil council had acquired too much power, and the situation would worsen with the departure of the Uchiha. But Naruto would be the leader of the 3 clans. Namikaze, Senju and Uchiha. Perhaps he could use this to regain the power of the Hokage, that's all, he muttered as he headed to his study. And began to write to the daimyoji insistently, explaining how much power the civil council had accumulated during the chaos caused by the attack of the Kyubi, Naruto's real name. His death, his rebirth, the rebellion and his plans. Then he called on Mo. Mo was a little white monkey. He was wearing a leaf hita and tie around his neck and a green jacket with the speed box on the back. Do you need anything, Salutobi-sama? Yes, no, please give this to Daime Joe del Fugo. He handed the scroll to the monkey, who in turn wrapped it with his tail. Kabi said Mo before he shot out like a bullet, and with that done, the Hokage went to bed. The next day, Naruto jumped up and hurried to get dressed. When he was ready, he headed to the kitchen. There he started eating cereal and fruit. Good morning, Naruto. Irizen said as he prepared to leave. Good morning, man. Naruto smiled. Come on, eat something. Okay, he snorted as he ruffled Naruto's hair. Naruto, don't tell this to anyone, but it entailed you calling me that. Really? Hiruzen nodded. I missed the old one, they ate the rest in silence. I gotta go, man. With that said, Naruto ran out with the hood on. At the 38th training camp, it was as isolated as the 44th, but the danger level was much lower. Itachi was standing in the center waiting for him. He landed on the edge. Your dad. Son, get ready. He adopted the Uchiha posture with his Sharingan activated. Naruto imitated the posture with the gaze also activated. Itachi smiled with sarcasm when he saw that they were mature with 3 Tamo. Let's get started. Both launched into the attack. Naruto threw a punch at Itachi's face. Itachi blocked him by grabbing his fist and throwing it over his shoulder. Then he kicked her in the ribs. Naruto rolled and jumped, blocking the kick to the stomach with both hands, and then blocked the punch to the face with his left, grabbing Itachi's shirt and headbutting him. They both staggered back. "What a head but you have, Naruto. You're the one to talk," Naruto shouted, while rubbing his aching head. He took a different stance. With the feet slightly apart, the right fist towards the stomach, and the left hand open towards his opponent. He made a come here gesture. Itachi threw a punch straight to his face. He crouched down to the right, surrounded Itachi with his left arm, and punched him in the stomach, but the punch went off, proving that he was a shadow clone. "Oh shit." That was all he said before he got punched in the back, a chakra-charged punch that you couldn't get up from. He hit the tree head-on and was knocked unconscious. "Ots," Itachi said. 30 minutes later, Naruto suddenly stood up. "Sorry for the excess chakra. It's okay. Although my head hurts. Hey, do you mind if I do some things right now?" "No, go ahead," Itachi said as he sat down by the tree that Naruto had almost uprooted. Naruto sighed and took out the dragon egg and read the note that was at the bottom. "Dear reader, if you are reading this, then you have shown the Shinigami what it takes to be the guardian of this dragon's egg. You may think, hey, I have the last dragon egg, but it's not like that. There are more, they're just hidden. They don't trust the world anymore. Please raise this little dragon with tender loving care. The type of dragon you have is an ice dragon. So you need to focus ice chakra on the seals of the bag. Once every 24 hours for the egg to hatch. Remember that there are dark people who would love to use the dragon to rule the world, so be careful. Once the dragon has hatched, you can put the stamp on the bottom that was put on you by a stamp master so that it can stay hidden. Good luck, young dragon's coach." All right. He did as the letter said, and the 7 seals on the bag began to glow an eerie icy blue before turning the egg back to Metro. And watching it get covered in ice, he closed the bag and put it on his back. He remembered the seals that the Shinigami had shown him the day before. With that in mind, he opened the Hellhound scroll and bit his thumb. He signed as accurately as possible with his thumb and blood. Then, he left his handprint at the end. Breathing before running between the seals, hitting the hand, and shouting summoning jutsu. When the smoke cleared, a huge dog appeared, the size of the Hawkage Tower. His fur was black, with red markings running down his fur and over his eyes. Steam and heat emanated from him in waves. His teeth, like daggers, shone in the sun. Itachi jumped to his feet and stared at the beast that his son had just summoned. "Who the hell called?" The dog growled loudly. "Hey, dog from hell!" Naruto shouted. "Do you know who I am, young Reaper? And yet you invoked me?" asked the Alpha Hellhound, and the boy ascending. "My name is Hellfire." "Hello, Hellfire. My name is Naruto," Naruto said proudly. "Well, Naruto, I must say you are a brave little Reaper. Now, to your test," he shouted in a powerful voice. "Your proof is..." Chapter 5 Going Through Hell. Previously. Me. "Do you know who I am, young Reaper? And yet you invoked me?" the Alpha Hellhound asked, and the boy nodded. "My name is Hellfire." "Hello, Hellfire. My name is Naruto," Naruto said proudly. "Well, Naruto, I must say you are a brave little Reaper. Now, to your test," he shouted in a powerful voice. "Your proof is..." Now let's get on with the story. "Well, Naruto, I must say that you are a brave little Reaper. Now, to your test," he shouted in a powerful voice. "Your test is the fire torture." "What is fire torture?" Naruto asked. "Naruto, I have to go, it's my turn of zero cage shit." Itachi laughed with Naruto. "See you soon, boy. Remember that tomorrow night is the night when everything will be solved." Naruto nodded to his father as he left. "The test is where you have to go through hell." He cut the air in front of Naruto with his knife-like claws. The air began to warm up and glow slightly with the ridiculous heat, while the frenzied laughter of the Hellhound became more human. The air was really glowing now with the red, orange, and yellow of the fire. Groans of pain and heart-rending screams erupted from the now-open portal. Naruto swallowed hard. That's right, kid, be afraid. Get in there and stay until tomorrow afternoon. With plenty of time to rest after whatever you're doing with Dad. How did you know that? Naruto asked. Your messenger is a mixture of yours, your father's and your mother's, but your parents' is weak and is masked by yours. Only those with a very sharp nose can smell it. The Inuzuka have no chance to smell them, only their companions can. I laughed threateningly before pushing Naruto towards the portal. Naruto fell to the ground as the ground disappeared under his feet. An evil red light surrounded him. The sky temperature shot up to over 48 degrees as it hit the ground. He heard a faint hissing sound before the steam shot out in his face. He backed up so fast he fell on his ass. A thunderous laugh was heard behind him. Sweat covered his face and soaked his clothes and hair. He looked up and saw that it was Hellfire. Boy, the test is to survive 24 hours. Good luck. No jutsus or seals, and don't get caught by the demons or the ghosts that are in the 9 layers. For starters, you're on layer 1. The dangers range from the weakest ghost to Shukaku, the one-tailed Ichibi. Don't worry, the ruler of each level has been sealed in your world, except one. It's Hubi, but he's asleep right now. But the Riku Dousenin did not disperse him among the 9 Biju. That he did, but you see, his power was transferred to the lower 9 demons. When the Riku doesn't identify the power, he killed him, but Hubi was sent back to his domains and fell into deep sleep, in which he will remain until he regains his maximum power. However, Kami, Shinigami, and Yami have forbidden him to descend to Earth in his beastly form. So, if he comes back, he will be like a man and with normal power. How do you know all this? Naruto asked. What a silly human. I was alive then. The hounds of hell are the guardians of this earth. Now there is a worse bloodhound than us, but no contract was made, and custodial Hubi. He laughed. Now, little Reaper. We're giving you a 2-hour head start. So, get started. He howled loudly, informing all the hellhounds of the game. Shit, he shot out at full speed, crossed the small cave they were in and reached the entrance. From there was a cliff overlooking a burning battlefield in the desert. The souls were shattered, reassembled and dismembered in a very painful way. He jumped up, hitting the burning sand, ran to the left, backed up, and climbed the rocky cliff. He walked a good distance along a thin ledge. When he stopped, he came across a cast iron door with a strange 2-tailed cat printed on the metal. He looked ready to attack. He pushed the hot door with all his might. He groaned chillingly. Look what we have here. A little boy trying to get to level 2. The creature who said that was huge and completely red. He was only wearing a loincloth with 2 large horns on each side of his head. A club in his 3-fingered hand. Yes, it looks good. I think I'll eat it. It was a big forest green hyena. It had large claws and teeth and a single tail. Naruto wasn't afraid of these 2. He had been trained, after all, the Kyuubi and the Shinigami had trained him. Then he remembered that Hellfire forbade the jutsus. Oh, fangs of the Kyuubi. He pushed the door one last time. Then he turned to look at them as they charged with fangs bared and clubs held high. All right. I get it. He crouched down, still looking at them. He then turned to dodge the hyena, who banged on the door. She moaned in protest. He caught the club, throwing it over his shoulder against the door, which burst open. A blue fire burned through the door, incinerating the 2 demons as the fire went out. He saw that it was dark, with what looked more like blue fire here there. He took a deep breath and walked through the door. He felt a crunch under his feet. When he looked down, he saw that there were bones everywhere, so crowded that the earth could no longer be seen. The door slammed shut behind him, startling him. Too late to come back. Do you think, boy? You're in Nibi territory now. Walking skeletons. Just then, Naruto had to dodge a bunch of walking bones. He had gold armor and a red Mohican on his helmet. A loud crack was heard, he turned slightly, dodging a sword stroke, and saw a cart pulled by two skeletal horses running over the bones and heading towards him. He jumped, barely dodging it, but he heard the recoil of the soldier who was trying to kill him, crushed. Turning a little, he saw that the dismantled